The US, which possesses thousands of nuclear weapons, has been the only country to have used them against another nation. During former President Barack Obama's term in office, the US and Russia agreed to reduce their nuclear weapons stockpiles. But Donald Trump's taking charge of the White House in January 2017 saw an intensification of political tensions between the Cold War rivals. Recently, the Trump administration unveiled its nuclear strategy, which would end the Obama-era push to reduce the role of nuclear weapons in US military policy. It also proposes upgrading and expanding the US nuclear arsenal. The Pentagon chief has defended the new strategy, saying it aims to provide new negotiating leverage to American diplomats against Russia. In reaction, the Kremlin slammed the proposal, calling it, quote, bellicose and anti-Russian. In a statement, Russia's foreign minister pledged to adopt necessary measures to ensure its security. Meanwhile, the Trump administration's new nuclear strategy has caused concerns among European officials, with Germany's top diplomat warning of a renewed nuclear arms race. Sigmar Gabriel called on European leaders to lead the way in pushing for nuclear disarmament. Donald Trump has also ratcheted up the war rhetoric against North Korea, threatening to totally destroy the Asian country. Nevertheless, the US Defense Secretary has rejected the notion that the odds of war with Pyongyang have increased under Trump's presidency.
As far as the situation with Korea, it is firmly in the diplomatic lane. We have seen much stronger diplomatic action. For example, the last three United Nations Security Council resolutions, unanimous. And how often do you see France and Russia, PRC, China, and the United States, Great Britain, all voting, and other countries all voting unanimously? I think that makes it very clear this is firmly in the diplomatic lane.
During a UN-sponsored conference on disarmament, Pyongyang accused Washington of seeking to escalate the tension on the Korean peninsula by setting the stage for a preemptive strike against the North.
US officials, including Defense Secretary and the CIA Director, repeatedly talked about DPRK nuclear and missile threat to justify their argument for military option, and a new concept of so-called bloody nose limited preemptive strike on the DPRK is under consideration within the US administration.
Also speaking at the conference, the US envoy warned that North Korea is only, quote, months away from the capability to strike the US with nuclear-armed ballistic missiles.
I have thought all along that the rhetoric coming from the White House and Pentagon was saber-rattling, that they wouldn't attack North Korea. There's a lot of reasons to not attack North Korea. As I said, it's a useful enemy. It justifies U.S. military presence in South Korea, in Japan.
Last July, 122 countries voted in favor of a legally binding UN document called the Treaty of the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. Despite the support from much of the international community, several nuclear-armed states, including the US and Britain, boycotted the talks and the voting session. There was one vote cast against the treaty by the Netherlands, the European country which is home to US nuclear weapons. Similarly, Israel neither attended the UN negotiations nor cast a vote. Israel's possession of nuclear arms is an open secret. Despite clear proof, the regime still refuses to acknowledge the fact. The US sought to justify its possession of nuclear weapons, citing the escalation of North Korea's nuclear and missile programs as the reason. This further reveals the US double standards when one looks at Washington's all-out efforts to dismantle Pyongyang's nuclear program and its silence on Tel Aviv's nukes.